So this is Erik. I'm a senior level tech, working with computers and making software, managing software teams and everything for several decades. And I'm also a U.S. Navy veteran. I was a nuclear reactor operator and electronics technician in the Navy a long time ago. I'm getting old. And I'm the co-founder of the Tech Academy. More on that later. So we have an assistant in the chat. Our assistant is Christine. She's awesome. And her role is to monitor the chat, answer any questions, and just in general help out with things. Make sure you're nice. To Dolce, where are you joining us from? Dulce? I don't know if I mispronounce your name, I apologize in advance. We got some folks from the European Union, some from Wisconsin. All right. And again, I'm in Portland, Oregon, on the East Coast of America. New Jersey, awesome. Glad you're here. Okay, so here's the basic agenda. We'll have a brief explanation of the Tech Academy, which is valuable information. Then we'll have a brief Q&A session. Be glad to answer any kind of questions you have about this whole concept of scamming and that sort of stuff, dangers online, and about technology. Go over some information about our boot camps. There is a free gift we'll be giving everyone at the end of the class, so please stick around till then. The whole class is about an hour to an hour and a half. I expect this one will be on the shorter side. And that's our agenda. So brief word about the Tech Academy. Do me a favor, in chat, please type a 1 if you are familiar with the Tech Academy. Give me a 1 in chat if you're familiar with the Tech Academy, if you know a little bit about us. Joanne, we got 1 there. Okay, good. All right, so I'll just give you a brief description here. The Tech Academy, among many technology training services, delivers what are called coding boot camps. These are intensive technology certification programs. They're designed to prepare people for entry-level jobs in technology. Typically, they last 3 to 6 months, and they focus on practical, modern skills. We have, at the Tech Academy, we've been offering these programs are cost-effective, they're self-paced, they're fully online. And they're for people with no prior and schedule, whatever kind of flexibility you need. And we prepare you for a technology career with a really well-rounded toolkit. In America, the average cost of boot camps is over $13,000, almost $14,000. Ours are under the national average, and they even start as low as $5,300. And I want to read our mission statement. This is why we're here as a company and why we put on these free classes. Our mission statement at the Tech Academy is to graduate entry-level technology professionals that excel in the basics of their field and thereafter have successful careers in the tech industry and whose actions raise industry standards and surpass client expectations. That's who we are and what we do. Our product is you working in tech. And I want to let you know about a brand new service we launched recently, separate from our boot camps, that a lot of people are excited about. It's called the Tech Academy Accelerator. It's a monthly subscription program, and it includes, oh, is my audio cutting in and out? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can switch my connection. Okay. Signal is mostly good, but cutting in and out. All right, I'm going to switch here. How's my audio now? Christine, if you could let me know. Excellent. Okay, good. So this Tech Academy Accelerator is really cool. It's a monthly subscription program. It includes live weekly workshops with me. Also includes access to over 100 educational videos and over 100 self-paced online mini classes in more advanced technical concepts. And I want to tell you about these workshops because they're so much fun to do. On the accelerator, the workshops we do are very collaborative. We do a deep dive careers. There's a lot of Q&A back and forth, open voice and chat, and we teach topics suggested by the members of the accelerator community. And they're a lot of fun. They're very, very valuable. Also, this accelerator is really cheap. It's like $10 a month, and you can try your first 7 days free. Christine, if you could drop a link in the chat for people who are interested in joining that accelerator. There you go. If you fill out that form and join, you're not going to get charged for a week, so you can cancel anytime you want. But that gives you an opportunity to check it out, see if you like it. You can attend the next weekly workshop, which is this coming Tuesday, and I'd love to see you there. These are a blast. All right. So what the class is and isn't. In this class, we're going to give you simple definitions for technical terms, explain technology-related concepts in plain English. This class doesn't have any code. We do next one scheduled on Meetup. We'll give you links to all this at the end of the class. But I think we have a link right now. Christine, when you find it, can you drop a link to our next free class into the chat? Yeah, there we go. All right, so she just dropped that in. That's our next free coding class. I'd love to see you all there. Go to click on that link and you'll see the coding classes. They're a lot of fun. You can get your hands dirty and figure out how much you like this coding thing, figure out whether it's for you. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing. We're just going to talk a little bit. So it's all about this whole thing about how to not get scammed. And I'm going to pull up chat because this is one where I really want to hear from you, okay? So how many of you, give me a 1 in chat if this describes you. If you yourself or a friend or family member has ever been scammed by something online, drop a 1 into chat. There's 1. Or come close to being scammed. Joanne's got 1. Taraka. Okay, good, excellent. All right, so I want to kind of set the stage for this whole how to not get dad programmed computers way back in the 60s. And my dad's a really intelligent man, right? And when I was a young man, he went out and bought one of the first available home computers, brought it home, and after we had hooked it up, he actually unplugged it, took it apart to show me the insides, and he taught me all the basics about how computers work. In other words, my dad knows computers really well. The reason I tell you that is about 2 years ago, I get a call from my dad. And my dad is a very calm, cool, quiet, collected person. He doesn't get alarmed, freak out about things. And my dad called me alarmed and freaked out, which raised big alarm bells for me. And it turns out that he was on his computer and some pop-up appeared on his computer that looked like it was from Microsoft, alerting him to a serious problem with the security of his machine. And he clicked on it, and then next thing he knows, he's in a phone call with Microsoft, and they're looking around on his computer and says, oh yeah, you've got all these dangerous viruses on your computer and dollars, and he pays them $250. And he called me in the afternoon because it finally hit him. He's like, Eric, I don't think that was Microsoft. I don't think that was legitimate. And obviously it wasn't. It wasn't Microsoft at all. Microsoft will never get a hold of you out of the blue and charge you for fixing a problem on your Windows machine. But my dad, who knows computers well, who taught me the basics of computers, fell for one of these things. So this kind of thing can happen. And I'm seeing some, like I said, some ones in the chat. And what I'd like to do right now is, if you're comfortable sharing it, can you type into chat, what was the kind of scam? What happened that either you experienced or you saw someone else experience? Write that in chat. Oh, Taraka, I'm really glad you brought that one up. Malware through an email message. Okay, so let's take up that second one. And I want to do that because there's a word in there that not everybody may be familiar with. It's this word malware. Most of us are familiar with the word software, computer programs, right? As opposed to hardware, which is the physical machines. There's a physical machine. I'm shaking it right now. It's my laptop. So there's software and there's hardware. Malware is software, is acts. So that's what we call it, malware. And malware can be all kinds of different subtypes of programs, but it's a program designed for bad purposes. That's all malware is. A computer program like any other, but it's being used for not so nice things. That's malware. And so Joanne's talking about malware that comes through an email message. Now, usually this happens a lot, by the way, and usually they're relatively easy to detect. Some of them can almost always, they can only be detected through use of specialized software. Most of the time, you can see them coming a mile away. If you know things that you shouldn't put on your computer that come in through an email message. The biggest one, and this is true nearly every single time, is that there's an aspect of when an email message comes in that most people don't look at. And it has to do with who sent the email message. And I want to be really clear. When you look trying to figure out who sent an email message, there's two things there, one of which most people don't look at. To say your name as anything you want. Eric Gross, Humpty Dumpty, Brad Smith, whatever. But then there's the actual email account. And those two things are separate. Let me show you an example. Let me pull up an email. So give me just a second. I'll share my screen. Give me just a second here. Okay, so I'm going to share and show you a place that you should look at and when you should look at it. All right, so here's an email from a coaching client of mine, Darnell, and he has scheduled a call with me, it looks like tomorrow night, okay? Now, I mentioned that there's two things to look at when it comes from who sent the email. The first one is automatically visible. The second one, you have to hunt around for. The first one is automatically visible is right here. It says Calendly. And what's dangerous about this is you can send an email where the name that's displayed right here doesn't really match the actual source of the email. Let me show you what I mean. If we click on this and look at some details, you can see that the actual from address, it's got a, what we call, it's called a simple name, Calendly. But the actual
is this. And notice it by these by default. Very rarely under the from is it going to show the actual email address. And this started about 10, 15 years ago because it just made for more of a friendly interface. But unfortunately, it makes it easy for scammers to get past you. And the reason why is you can make this part say anything, but you can't change where the actual email is sent from. And this is where your clue is to whether or not you might have a problem. First, what do you look for? And then secondly, when do you look? What you're looking for specifically is, does the latter part of the email, what comes after the at, does it make sense given the context? If you're getting an email that says it's from your bank and you use Bank of America, does that part after the at symbol look like it's from Bank of America? Does it say B of A or Bank of America? Is it spelled right? It's one of the biggest things to look for. And here's anybody put into chat what these words after the at symbol are called. Does anybody know what that's called? You look at the chat. Does anybody know what that's called? In an email message. Yeah, Taraka's got it right. It's called the domain name. A domain is part of how the whole internet works. It's basically a unique identifier for a website. So there's a website called calendly.com, and they set up their emails to come from that quote unquote website. That's a domain. When people are trying to send you malware, they can try to make it look like it actually comes from the real company, but they cannot gain access to the actual web server that this is sent from. They're not going to gain access to Calendly, but what they can do is they can get their own web server up that spells Calendly with two L's, Callendly, and hope that you don't notice. They can make it look very close. So that's one of the things to look for. The other thing to look for is if the part before the domain is a bunch of gibberish, like random letters and numbers. You'll see this quite often. No one in a real business is going to have email addresses that have a bunch of gibberish in everything before the at. So that's what to look for to see whether you have a problem. Now, single email you get and go, all right, now I'm super paranoid. Someone's trying to send me malware. I'm going to check this on every single one of them. You're not going to do that. No one's got time for that. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. In other words, if you get any kind of email about something that seems really, really, really awesome, but it's out of the blue, it's probably not true. If you have an opportunity to make a bunch of money from someone in Africa, in Nigeria, it's probably not true. If you won in a contest you didn't even know you entered, it's probably not true. Now, I'm not a cynical person. I don't like to distrust everyone, but it's probably not true. So that's when it should raise some alarm bells like, oh, wow, this seems like really, really good news. Out of the blue, that's when you get suspicious. Don't turn into a paranoid person who's negative and hates the world. Just be kind of smart about it. Look inside here and go, okay, well, who exactly sent this? Does it look like it's actually from the company? And do I know anyone else separately from this email and ask them about this? That's one of the biggest things. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But here's the other one. You got to think about what it is that hackers or malicious people are trying to get from you. What they're trying to get from you most of the time is usernames and passwords or financial information. So if you do business with reputable companies for banking, for insurance, you know, who you buy your car from, all these kind of places, you should know by now in the year 2024 that no one you do any kind of business with is ever going to email you asking you to give them anything related to your security concerns. They're never going to do it. And I mean, never going to do it. Every single company in this day and age who needs any kind of security information is going to make sure that you are on the phone with a live human being and that they have in front of them the security information they confirm, and they make you confirm it on the phone. They're not ever going to do it over the internet without a human being present. So the two big things to look for here in terms of emails are, one, if it looks too good to be true, I'm sorry, it probably is. Start to get really suspicious. The second thing is that if you're getting emails related to anything about your security credentials, your usernames, your passwords, your financial records, it's 110% not real. It's not true. Okay. And then here's the third one. Anytime organization that you're interacting with, you don't have full certainty of who they are, it's probably not true. It's probably not true. So again, I'm not a very paranoid person. I'm not advocating to just like distrust everyone. But I guess part of what I recommend is think about how you would operate a business. Would you ever just send out an email to someone unsolicited and say, hey, we're running some security operations. Can you give me your current username and password so I can make sure they're right? Would you ever do that? Would you ever treat your customers that way? No, you wouldn't. And no professional organization is going to do that. Now, this brings up a separate attack. And by the way, we're going to get through the to the fake job interview on text chat in a minute here, because that was a really good one Taraka brought up. But another semi-related scam we're seeing very commonly nowadays isn't technically over the internet, but it's happening more and more often. And it's actually just over text. And here's what it comes down to. And by the way, this one's really important to pay attention to for a specific reason. AI. There's a category of scam that's happening nowadays that involves some bad actor, some person with, you know, ill intent, pretending to be one of your coworkers. More precisely, pretending to be your boss or your boss's boss's boss, someone very senior in an organization. In chat, let me know if you've ever heard about this kind of thing or seen it happen. Give me a yes if you've heard about this kind of thing or seen it happen. Okay, so I'll tell you one that happened to me about 3 or 4 years ago. I was doing some contract work for a big training company, and I happened to know the first name of the CEO. He's way above me. I've never heard of him. All right, I guess the message is coming in. Yeah, there it is. Joanne says, yes, we got messages from our boss. Now, Joanne, did they look real at first? Did the messages look legit for a second? Same thing for you, Julia. Did the messages look realistic at first? They looked a little suspicious. Okay, so the scammers are getting really smart about this, okay? At first, when they were doing this, they were targeting really, really, really big companies, okay? Yeah, Julia says that it's a different tone of voice from my boss, and this is the key right here, okay? For this scam to work, two things are necessary. One, the person that receives the text needs to believe that the way the communication and making the email or sorry, the text be, you know, generic that almost anybody could be saying the thing. It needs to be real that your boss would ever even text you. It has to be real that they would ever text you. Okay. And so the scammers are getting really smart about this, and they're not targeting big giant companies anymore. That's how they started. And it didn't work very well, because if you work for Coca-Cola, it's highly unlikely that the CEO of Coca-Cola is ever going to send you a text on your personal phone. And so they started targeting small to medium-sized businesses. It sounds like my internet's going in and out. I'm sorry for that. Christine, did it get any better yet, or is it still going in and out? I'm sorry, Julia. Man, that stinks. I keep breaking up. I apologize. I'm in a place where I thought the connection was going to be better. This is the challenge with travel. I'm not in my home office that I love so much. Okay, so big picture. If someone from your company texts you and they've never texted you before, it's probably not real. And the other one is, think about again how you would want to be treated. Would you ever text someone you worked with and ask them to give you money over text? You'd never do it. I don't think that someone is going to magically do that. They're going to treat. It happens a lot. Now, there's one final. I think I've covered like the basic fundamental things, which is don't be a paranoid person and all negative about things, but have a little bit of common sense about it and recognize that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And that you've just got to verify, is the person communicating with me actually who I think it is, right? The last thing I want to talk about is the fact that there are certain forms of attack that it is very hard to detect for a human being and technology. This malware, these programs, can be inserted into what seem like very safe files. I mean, if you get a text file, it might raise some alarm bells. You would like, oh, I don't know what's inside this text. It could be code. It could be a computer program, right? And so you might be suspicious of it, right? One of the things they can do now is they can actually embed a computer program, malware, inside an image. And so you see an image preload inside your email, and you're like, oh, that looks safe. It's just a picture from one of my coworkers showing a recent trip they took. I'll click on that and look at the picture. Except that they can build a program inside that image that can detect a mouse click and run a program, which they just get so sophisticated. So to get scammed and train people in tech. But here's what I mean by that is whether or not you actually move into tech and get a job as an information technology professional, the only way people like this succeed, the only way these bad actors succeed is they're relying on the ignorance of their target public. And if you're no longer ignorant, you're not going to get caught by these things. So the single best thing you can do is just learn more and more and more about how computers work, how security works, how web applications communicate back and forth, how one website can verify beyond a shadow of a doubt that the person trying to connect to it is that person. When you understand all these things, you'll instantly clue in to someone trying to do something weird or off the wall. So increase your technology training. It's one of the biggest things you can do. Again, whether or not you're going to move into tech, whether you ever work with us, keep learning more about technology, and you'll start to spot these things really, really well. Okay, I want to open up to one more Q&A thing here. Has anybody ever heard, again, this is now, whether you've seen it or not, have you heard of other types of scams besides the ones we're talking about? If you've heard of a different type of scam, drop it into the chat right now. Phone phishing. Oh, this is great. Okay. Now, I like to clear up words. Okay. Julia wrote in phone phishing. First, I want to tell her how she spelled the word phishing. She did it perfectly right. It's P-H-I-N-G, phishing. Now, phishing, even though it's spelled weird, and I'll tell you why it's spelled weird in a second, is basically throwing out some kind of bait and hoping something bites, just like when you fish in real life. Okay. Specifically here, phone phishing, especially if it's via text, is throwing out a text communication to anyone you have a number for, pretending you're talking to someone that you know isn't them. Like here I am, I'm Eric, and on my phone, I get a text that says, hey, Jenny, are we still on for the camping trip this weekend? And I look at that. And of course, I'm not Jenny, I'm Eric. They're dropping a little teeny piece of bait to see if someone will bite. And by bite, that means engage with them. And I text back, I think you've got the wrong number. I'm not Jenny. And then they say, oh, wow, so sorry. I guess I got the wrong information. Who's this? And they get back. Now there's a conversation going on, and they're going to try to get you into some kind of scam, usually involving buying cryptocurrency that's going to rapidly increase in value, blah, blah, blah. Okay? It's called phishing. And there's lots of different phishing attempts. You're basically throwing something out. And here's the thing about phishing. And all of these scams, you're throwing out something that is of interest to people. Winning a contest you didn't know you entered is of interest to people. Getting a text on your phone that's a wrong number text is of interest to people. How did they even get my number? Now I'm really curious. And that's what all of these people rely on. They rely on either your curiosity or greed. So if you ever get a quote unquote wrong number on your phone, almost guaranteedly someone who made a mistake. It's a scammer. Okay. Now, why is phishing spelled P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G? Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit to the 1970s. Okay, go back in time a lot. I was a 5-year-old when this all went down. Okay, I was born in 69. Yes, I'm old. At the time, there was only one telephone company for the entire nation of America. One company. It was called Bell Telecommunications. Everybody called them Ma Bell. It was the only phone company in the nation. And they charged a lot of money to call someone long distance. You could call inside your town or your city, but if you wanted to call across the country or around the world, you were paying a lot of money to the phone company. So some really enterprising and people with questionable morals figured out in the mid-70s, electronically certain exact sounds into that phone it would activate a free long distance call. I'm not going to get into all the nerdy, like, how did that work? Although it is pretty cool. But they could emit some exact sounds or frequencies, beep, 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 or whatever it is. And that was interpreted by the phone company as an approved distance call. And so they could talk to people for free. You know, there was no internet back then, but word of mouth would get around and people would find out how to do this. The people who were active in this area called themselves freaks or phone freaks. And they spelled it EHREA, just to be weird, just because they were sort of counterculture and odd. They were freaks. And that name stuck and has for decades and decades and decades. And so anything that's like kind of sketchy or scammy or a little bit off the beaten path in technology very often has that PH spelling. So that's where all that comes from, okay? The is every technology, when it makes a significant advance, is going to be used by 90% of the population for decent, normal things it was intended for. But there's 10% of the people that will use it for something odd or illegal. Just know that it's out there. All right. I can see my Wi-Fi in and out. I apologize for the connection. Classes next week will be from a much more stable place. Okay. Any questions? I'm about to go into Q&A, and I'm going to share my screen and show the slide deck. But I want to see. Here we go. Any questions about security, scams, any of this kind of stuff? Any technology concepts you want to explain related to this? All right. And let me pull up participants. There we go. Okay. Oh, good. There's a question. So Julia says, how does AI play into this? Oh, thank you. I forgot that. Scams have been around for ages. What is changing with AI? Much easier to fool people into thinking you're talking to the actual person they're pretending to be. They can clone voices really easily, and they can even clone video images really easily, right? So here's the biggest thing you can do to kind of protect yourself against that is if you get any kind of communication, whether it's a voice or video communication, and it's outside of your company's normal communication channel, I would be very, very suspicious of it. Joanne, I'll get that question in a second. It's good. If it's business communication and it comes from outside the normal business channels, that would raise huge alarm bells for me, right? And if it's something that the biggest thing is if it's even if it's a happy surprise, if it's surprising to you, that's when it starts to be a little suspicious. You better check. And again, I don't want to say just distrust everybody because that doesn't make for a good life. But that's what I'd look for. Now, Joanne asks the related question, a really good one. Will AI fakery ever be automatically detectable? I don't know. I know a lot about artificial intelligence. I know that right now it's in its infancy and it can be decently easy to spot. But there's two things that are at war here that make it so I can't really give you a good prediction about that. The first one is governing agencies or organizations are pushing quite hard to have any AI generated content have some sort of a marker inside it, no matter how good it looks, that under the hood does 100% enforced, then yes, there'll be an automatic detection. You could, any kind of, all the tools we're used to using now for viewing written content, listening to audio content, looking at static images, and looking at videos. All those tools could be built to look for that marker, and it'd be a much safer eco. A lot of governments to try to do that right now. The other push, though, is the AI marketplace going crazy, trying to create all kinds of new products, and so busy with that that the governing agencies can't keep up. There's the push for innovation and making money, and there's the push for governance, and we're at the very beginnings of that. I won't call it a fight. It's just there's a checks and balances kind of thing, which hasn't evened out. Now, what's my prediction? I think that we'll probably have somewhere around like a 75% coverage rate or safety rate with AI fakery in the future. It'll pencil out so most of the common AI tools that most people are using will put some sort of a digital watermark inside them that most tools can detect. And so when you are looking at content, the tool will pop up verified AI or verified AI free or whatever, and you'll know, okay, good, awesome, with a certain degree of certainty. But I don't think we'll ever achieve 100%. I think there's going to be a significant portion where you're just like, I'm not sure, you know? And here's the other thing I predict. Even if a system like that starts to get broadly used, this is a good question, Joanne, you got me going. Even if a system like that starts to get broadly used, the really creative, like, criminals, unfortunately, are going to figure out how to break through it over and over again. They're going to figure out a way to fake that watermark and make it something AI generated, say that it's not. And then when that happens a few times and there's a few public, losses of money or embarrassment, then technology groups will go, oh, someone broke through the fence, and they'll make a better fence. We'll never fully stop it. Because unfortunately, there are criminal people. It's a small portion of the population. These criminals though have an outsized effect on society. And I don't know if that's ever going to go away. So those are my thoughts on it. No definitive answer, but I love the question, Joanne. It was great. All right, good. So I think I've got the Q&A, okay? Now, quick question. On the screen right now, can you see only my slide that says Q&A, or can you also see other slides, other screens? Christine, if you could let me know, can we see only the slide that says Q&A? Okay, good, excellent. All right, so let me give you a little bit more data about the Tech Academy. There may be a fit here for you, and I just want to let you know a little bit more. One of the biggest things is we have 12 boot camps that we offer, 12 different certification programs. And by the way, stick around for your free gift. It won't be long at all, okay? So these boot camps cover all the broad general families or types of jobs you might want to get in technology, like artificial intelligence, which we've been talking about, computer programming, web development, cybersecurity, which is really in demand, design, data science, video game development, mobile app development. In fact, we have more certification programs than any other coding bootcamp on earth. And our programs are self-paced, but they're also instructor supported. They're really flexible. You set your own study schedule and you can enroll 365 days a year. Our content is really well-rounded and in-depth. Our boot camps are affordable. All of our programs include job placement training, job placement assistance. But most importantly, they're designed for absolute beginners. No technology knowledge or experience is required, so you don't have to be a nerd to get through our programs. These programs have gotten it so we consistent rating across all major bootcamp review sites is 4.8 out of 5 stars, and that's based on student and graduate feedback. So now I just want to point out a couple of things, like why would you want to work in tech? Well, one of the big reasons is it's got really good work-life balance, and there's a lot of remote work possibilities, which a lot of people like. Also, it's a very creative industry. You can take a lot of personal pride in your work when you work in technology. and it's a stable industry that pays really well. And if you continue to like apply yourself and learn more, there's regular increases in pay, and you can make quite a lot of money in technology. Now, that said, trying to do a boot camp, there's certain barriers. One of the biggest ones is money. It can cost thousands of dollars in tuition. What we've done to try to handle that is at the Tech Academy, we have multiple financing options. There's a big upfront discount, or if you have to do monthly payments, we have options for people with no matter what their credit scene is. But the big picture is getting through a Tech Academy boot camp is really an investment in yourself. You're giving yourself a set of skills that are super in demand, and more importantly, you're building confidence that you are able to operate in technology teams and be really valuable, which means you're always going to find work. One of the other barriers to doing a boot camp is just time. There's a lot to learn, a lot to get through, and it takes some time. Now, some boot camps try to handle this by training their students in cohorts, like all one group. Everybody starts on the same day, and they move through the material at the same pace. You lose people along that way with that approach, right? With our boot camps, they're fully online, so you don't have to be there in person, and you choose your study schedule. It's self-paced, right? Which means part-time study is allowed, and you can even study concurrently to holding down a job or doing other school programs. One of the final sort of barriers to getting through a boot camp is you need to have some technical interest or technical ability. Now, the fact that you're on a meeting like this tells me you probably have some technology interest or technical interest. But it's that ability thing I just want to say something about. If you've been trying to break into coding or technology, and you've ever felt like some of the technology educational materials you're studying are too hard, one of the biggest reasons why is that some educators assume too much prior knowledge on the part of the student. And so you're reading something that they're telling you is entry level, but it isn't. They're assuming you already know about things, and we don't do that. With our programs, you don't have to be a nerd. You don't have to have any technology background to enroll. So, big question is it time for a change? Like, you working a dead-end job, or maybe you're unemployed, there's a ceiling of how much money you can make, or maybe you want to work from home, the work-life balance isn't right, you want more time with your loved ones. Is it time for a career change? And if it is, then we can be the solution. At the Tech Academy, we're career change experts. In fact, that orange bridge you see is there for a reason. We want to be the bridge, which is a route into technology for everyone. And we've got a decade of experience in helping people break into tech. And it works. Most of our graduates make on average $30 an hour in their first job. And we've got over 1,000 graduates in tech at all kinds of companies, small, Facebook and Uber, Epic Games, Disney. Like, this is the real deal if you want to break into tech. And as a reminder, we have open enrollment, and you can start anytime. So I encourage you to enroll now. Now, this next thing may be a surprise to some of you if you've never been to one of our classes in the last couple of weeks. But last month, we tried something really special. It worked well, and we're going to continue it for this month. If you enroll this month, there's some special gifts we're going to give you. One is that we're going to give you 50% off your tuition if you pay up front. Boom, just cuts the whole tuition in half. And if you do that and you need a laptop, we'll give you a free refurbished laptop. Now, that's only for US students. I'm sorry, we can't ship them overseas. But if you pay up front, not only do you get 50% off, but you also get a refurbished laptop. Also, no matter what state you live in, there's no sales tax. No matter where you live, we handle the sales tax. And we will ship you a set of our books, which are these really awesome technology books: Intro to Coding, Computer Technology Simplified, Technology Basics Dictionary. Your planning guide to help you plan out your first 3 years once you get your technology job. Also, you get 3 months free access to the Tech Academy Accelerator that we talked about earlier. There's weekly workshops with me, all the mini courses, the free technology training videos, free for 3 months. And finally, this is one of the biggest ones, you get unlimited job placement assistance. What does that mean? Well, We'll help you with job placement until you land your first job. As long as you're working on it, we're there with you, helping you every single step of the way. And our job placement people are awesome. So if you'd like information on this, go here to find out how that works. And Christine, if you drop that into the chat. Awesome. When you fill out that form, it's a very brief form. There's a series of steps afterwards that are all the information about the Tech Academy. There's like videos and articles that'll tell you everything about our program. And there's even an optional step to book a call with our admissions staff. And you can complete those after the event. I just want you to have that link so you can click on there and find out more about the school, okay? One other quick point, we do have a program. In fact, referrals from our graduates are one of the top enrollment sources for the school. So we've always had a 5% commission payment for referrals. And we do that for people that aren't graduates even. If you have people you want to recommend to the school, in a moment you'll have a way to email that information. And if you include their name and contact information and they sign up, we'll send you a 5% commission payment for doing that. I mentioned books. We have 7 publications, including 3 Learn Coding Basics in Hours books, a coding book for kids and young adults, the Technology Basics Dictionary, a project management handbook, and You Are Not Stupid, which is a phenomenal book. It's basically a written version of our most popular course in the boot camps called the Computer Basics course, but it's greatly expanded. So thank you for sticking around. Here's your free gift. It is our project management handbook, an actual physical copy of it. If you want to know about the software business and how software gets made, this lays out everything about it in very simple, clear terms. Now, we'll send you a free copy of this if you're in the US. We can't do overseas, Canada, that kind of thing. I apologize. But if you're in the US and you want a copy of this, then send an email to that email address. Christine, if you could drop that mailing address, there you go, and we will send you a physical copy. Also, you can include any referral information in there if you know people that should be talking to us, and if you have further questions, technology, and give you an answer. So I'm going to give you a second to grab that and send an email if you want to. And then I've got a bunch of links for you if you want to look at some of our other resources. All right. We use Linktree, a service that puts all of our links in one location. Christine, if you can drop that link into chat. And when you see that in chat, yeah, go ahead and click on that. I'd like you to see what we're talking about. All of our links are there. There's links to our free educational YouTube videos. There's links to our books and dictionary, to our upcoming meetups if you want to have, find out about future classes, and to all our social media accounts. So please follow us on social media. Invite your friends to future meetups. And if you'd like a chance to win your own copy of You Are Not Stupid, every week we give away one. And the way to be entered into the raffle for that is just share a link to our next event in the chat, and you can also get it from Linktree. If you'll share a link to our next class and tag the Tech Academy, we keep track of that. We choose one of those people every week at random, and we give them a copy of You Are Not Stupid. We send it right to your house. It's a great book. All right. Thank you so much for attending. Super appreciate it. I apologize for the Wi-Fi setup. I'll have a better setup on Tuesday for the accelerator. And then we have a free coding class this Friday. Okay. Please join us for future classes and have a wonderful evening.